we don't need roads.
Guys, it is such an honor to speak with you. Thomas, The Newsroom is one of the greatest series of all time, and I miss it. So I just wanted to tell you. Guys, I'm going to jump into this. Joe, I'm actually going to start with you. I really want to talk about your experience as an actor, but kind of in the world of music, because I feel like music artists don't get credit for how much they kind of have to act. When you have to go out and perform when you're having a bad day, when you have to sing a song that maybe you wrote 10 years ago when you were in a different place in life, would you say that the world of music requires more acting than maybe people realize?
Wow, it's a great question.
Yeah.
I think at times, yes. I mean, there's been days that totally suck, and you got to go put a smile on your face. So there's a comparison there. And like acting, I think JD always on his monitor, he had a written in Sharpie, what do you want them to feel? And I've carried that into performance since the film. You know when people in the audience are connected towards a certain song, and that's their song. And even if you're like writing a set list that day, and you're like, I don't want to play this. Like, this is a 10-year-old song. And then you see 3 people that are affected by that. And you're like, that's why we do it. That's why I want to do this. And so I think it's maybe on the flip side with film, it's every scene's important. Every moment that you're in, what is your character trying to say? What is he trying to portray? And ultimately, like, what do you want them to feel, you know?
I love that. I'm a big film nerd, so I watch a lot of interviews with actors and stuff. And I've always loved the stories about actors in Star Wars who that they can't help but make the sound effects. So many actors in that series admit that particularly when they're shooting the aerial fights, that they all do the sound effects that we make basically. So I'm sort of curious, like, honestly, for you guys as actors, like when you're shooting these scenes, how hard is it not to revert back to 8-year-old you and make those sound effects that we used to make growing up?
We were just relating on these planes that we got to work with, you know, these aerial stunts that we saw in real, like right in front of our faces, probably no joke, 10 feet in front of us, a plane's going 200 miles an hour. Yeah, and just totally breaking character and just being like that kid.
Just I hope the camera's not on me right now because they're going to have to totally reshoot this because I am just in heaven. You can feel the engine heat coming off of these things. It's so close. And like, yeah, man, like you can't deny the fact that you're still an 8-year-old in the midst of that. And you're like, dude, an F4 Corsair just flew so close to me that I got engine blast on me. Like it's really cool. It's really cool.
All right, let me ask you guys, because I've had the pleasure of shooting different stories where I've gotten to go up and, you know, in stunt planes, and I got to go into F-16 one time, and I get the footage back, and then I hear some of the sounds that I made involuntarily, and I go, oh my God, like did I actually, like, did that sound come out of me? Were there any moments where you're like, wow, I made a sound that I did not know was humanly possible?
I think that's daily for me. Yeah, there's definitely, you know, those planes, and even the contraptions that they had built on the soundstage. We had the body of the plane. You know, you got this massive camera in your face, but the wall of real footage that they put behind us, and similar to Star Wars, same team did this. Mm-hmm. And it's, you know, the plane's rattling and shaking, and it's really hot in there, and like you're sweating, and even though you're not up in the air, you're still in it. So yeah, I'm sure audio had some fun things to have to edit out from us.
Oh, undoubtedly. Undoubtedly. But in terms of like strange sounds coming out, and like, I mean, I found that fatherhood, I end up speaking in tongues like half of the time. You know what I mean? Because like, I don't want to bring those words quite into my child's mind yet. So I end up like, you know, with just like cursing in tongues. But yeah, there are definitely sounds that come out of me that I'm at a little bit of a loss as to explain how and what that came from. A 2-year-old son will do that to you.
Love that. Love that. I'm going to cut you guys loose on this. I feel like, you know, as movie fans, we all grew up watching so many great films with great sort of aerial dogfights, whether it's Star Wars or Top Gun. And obviously the first Oscar-winning movie ever was an aerial dogfight movie. So I'm sort of curious, how did your own pop culture knowledge of sort of this specific genre of movies affect how you came to the project and maybe even affect your experience as an actor in the cockpit?
Yeah, we had to teach Glenn Powell a lot about aerial.
I mean, like, I just wish he had more experience doing things like this.
We had to give him a lot of material, a lot of movies to watch. There was one in particular that comes to mind. Like, the name I'm losing it.
Such a mess. Who is that guy that was in it? Was that Tim Robbins?
I think so.
Yeah, it was Tim Robbins.
Yep. Mystic River, I think.
That's what it was. Yeah.
The classic Clint Eastwood aerial dogfight movie.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, back to earlier, you know, we're kids at heart, being around these amazing planes, and speaking with these pilots and people that actually were in the Korean War. It's like so special that we got to have that time. But a lot of research. I mean, we didn't know enough about the Korean War. And I think for all of us, we kind of walked into it going, the first meeting for me with JD was like, okay, can I just stop you for a second? How has this story not been told yet?
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that you're doing this, because regardless if it works out for me or not, I am going to see this movie because this is such a great story. And I've shared the book with many friends, and I think it's something that's really worth educating yourself on.
Yeah, and I think, we wanted to make a movie that was bigger than the tricks. And we did. The cool tricks and the jaw-dropping aerial photography and stunt piloting work, which is coming from the best guys in the world, is in there. And they're at their absolute best. It adds an incalculable amount to the film. And the film is about more than that. It's about a really important story that needs to be told, and a really important historical figure in Jesse Brown, who we need to repatriate back to the United States. We need to go get him. And I think, it's an important part of what we're doing here too, is keeping the torch burning for him, and trying to share that information with everybody, because once they hear his story, everyone falls in love with him all over again.
Yeah. Well, you guys did it, and you did it in a beautiful way. It's a pleasure for me to be able to talk to you guys about it. This was a really fun interview. I appreciate you guys having fun with me. Seriously, thank you for your time. And Thomas, as a journalist, thank you for the newsroom, man. It was just a beautiful piece of art. I appreciate you.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate
it.
All right.
Take care, guys.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.